Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the August 12th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We can have roll call, please.
Messina.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Coppice.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Ingalls.
Here.
McCracken. Jamtas.
Here.
Okay. Could you join me for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before I ask for approval of minutes, I want to welcome our newest commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your time while you're here with us.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
Look
good.
forward to helping.
Well, thank you very much for volunteering.
You're welcome.
I need approval of June 10, 2025 planning minutes, please.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second by Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. This time, anyone that wants to speak on anything that's not on our agenda? Hearing none. Staff comments.
All
Hillary?
right. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
So for next month's meeting, we will have an annexation and subdivision, so a two-part request coming before you. Wanted to just do a quick update on the efforts of the Downtown Core Working Group. There is a survey that is available online. So if you go to either the city's website, or you can also get to it from city's Facebook page, and it's been shared on social media, including Nextdoor. But you can provide initial input on the downtown regulations to determine if you like the existing ones or if you'd like to see some changes in terms of height and tower spacing and things like that. And we also have an opportunity for people to sign up to receive information about the project and to participate either in the public forums or to be considered for the stakeholder group. So we encourage people to do that. I think we have over 200 survey responses currently, and we're looking at having the first stakeholder meeting in September. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then a quick note, I'll be this Thursday up in Sandpoint all day. There is a land use and housing study committee that was formed out of this last legislative session. And so as chapter president for APA Idaho, which is the professional planning organization, three of us, the board members, will be presenting to that group, which is largely comprised of legislators. So we'll be doing that on Thursday.
Oh,
That's
good
all
for
I have.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tom,
Commissioner,
can I ask
go
a
ahead.
few follow-up questions? On the survey, is there any restrictions on who can or cannot participate?
No, but the survey does ask, do you live in Coeur d'Alene? Do you own property in certain areas? And do
Ideally,
you live in any of these
you're a
neighborhoods?
Coeur d'Alene resident or something thereabout.
Correct.
And
And
then-
also, we've sent it to the development community, especially the ones that were involved in some of the towers and projects downtown and their teams.
And when does that survey close?
We don't have a definitive date, but we were looking at closing it before, well, probably next week, I would guess.
Next
so that we
week.
can kind of look at that list as we meet with the working group to kind of plan for September. If we need to, we could extend it a little bit, but we need to wrap it up definitely.
Last
beginning
question
of
on the
September.
survey is, are the results going to be made public?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you,
you.
Hillary.
Did the Downtown Association also capture it and send it out to
They've
their
sent it
members?
out twice, yes. So they sent
Okay.
it out in a separate email, and then it went out in their latest newsletter.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Hillary. Commission comments? None? Okay, moving into our first agenda item. Applicant is Sam Investment. Location is 1801 Lincoln Way. A proposed special use permit for on-site food and beverage consumption in a commercial limited C17L zoning district. Sean, go ahead.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I must say, before I begin, all of your guys' nameplates look great. They're all the same font. They're all the same size. It's beautiful. Thank you, Tracy, for putting that together for us. Looks good. All right, so as alluded to, we do have a special use permit request tonight, SP 125. It is for food and beverage on-site consumption. That is in a C17L zoning district. All right, that parcel is 0.58 acre. It is located at 1801 Lincoln Way, which is south of Emma, north of Davidson Avenue, and it's on the west side of US 95, and also known as Lincoln Way for addressing. So it was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press, posted at the subject property, and mailed notice, all within the required times as state code requires. So we just talked about Curtis's request, and I won't read everything on there into the record. I'll talk a little bit about the site background because everybody can see at home and hear what the request is about. The subject property was previously a professional services office space, and the suite is currently vacant. The adjacent suite is an active on-site food and beverage establishment, which is El Paisa next door. In 1998, there was a special use permit that was granted for Chopstick Express, which was an off-site food and beverage establishment. That was in 1998, which was housed in the suite currently occupied by El Paisa. So the rest of the strip mall is occupied by retail shops and business offices. So on-site food and beverage consumption is allowed use in the C17L zoning district with a special use permit. So we'll move into the location. You can see I-90 up to the north here. This is the hospital. To the south is some additional medical services, and then south of Emma is the strip mall that is subject property here, and then West Davidson is at the southern flank of that building. Zooming in a bit so you can see exactly where this request is. So the subject property or the subject suite is identified here in red. And I also want to be clear that if the special use permit is approved tonight, that it would apply to the parcel, with the limiting factor being that the parking is the limiting factor. And so back when Chopsticks was originally approved in 1998, our parking standards were quite different. So that back then was one stall per 100 square feet for an on-site consumption. Chopsticks was approved not as on-site consumption, which is a little bit of a different standard, but today's standard is 1 per 200. So it's half the amount of parking that was required back then for an on-site consumption. So suffice it to say, I'll answer the question before I get it, but El Paisa and what happened there. So they had moved in, I think through some mission creep throughout the years. They had added some additional seats, and they are considered to be an on-site consumption. So through the request tonight, if approved, it would also apply to El Paisa, which we did not know until this application that they were out of compliance. But looking back through the special use permit and some things of that nature, we figured out what happened through the history.
Sean, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Would the current parking requirements then be applied to this request and the whole parcel, or
Would what?
the current parking?
Oh, the amount? Yeah. Just, and I can talk about
All
it
right, if you're getting
right
that-
now,
that-
but I'll get to the
Okay,
parking a
okay,
little
great.
bit more. All right, so this is an elevation view of the requested site and the suite. It is on the end. It is currently vacant, as I stated. And there are 3 findings that must be made for a special use permit. So the first is that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. This is the future land use map. It's in the retail center corridor as a place type. This is a city context map, and it's located here. And then zooming in, you can see where this corridor is. It's the purple, and then this. It's surrounded by some multifamily type uses, and as well as a lot of civic use as well. So retail center and corridor places are primarily car-oriented. They're destinations for retail services, hotels, motels, that sort of thing, restaurants and other major streets. They're often developed in large format, retail uses with some infill commercial development, which is this request tonight. Typically 1 to 3 stories, and they're typically not very walkable and generally have limited civic or other public uses, but because they are often located along major arterials, they may be served by transit, and we'll get into that in just a second, right here. So there's 3 transportation maps. One is the planned bicycle network, as well as the walking network and the transit network. And so first, you can see the bicycle network. It's right there in the purple, so there's a bicycle lane. The walking network, this one is a little bit choppy. If you remember the request for the zone change, kind of kitty corner for the children's daycare center. You know, there's some around there. For the most part along 95, it's there, but when you get off to the sides, it's hit and miss. And so then the existing transit network is the city link is Route A and Route C are very close by. It is on Route A, and Route C is just to the north, a block or 2. Also within this, I jumped ahead. We'll talk about policy framework first. So community and identity, I always like to point out that citizens are well informed, responsive, and involved in community discussions. I'd like to say thank you for the people that did show up tonight. It's a hot day outside. It's a beautiful day, so we don't have a lot of attendance, but that probably speaks more to the request and it not being very controversial. So goal 2 is maintain a high quality of life for residents and businesses that make Coeur d'Alene a great place to live and visit. Growth and development, and develop a mix of land uses throughout the city that create a balance of housing and employment while preserving the qualities that make Coeur d'Alene a great place to live. Under jobs and economy, retain, grow, and attract businesses. So these are the curated ones from staff. Inside of your packet is the full laundry list of all of those, that policy framework, goals, and objectives. So finding B2 is the design and planning of the site is or is not compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. And before I start this one, I wanted to point out it's also in a special area. It's inside the Health Corridor Master Plan area. It doesn't directly contribute to the health of that site, but it is within that urban renewal district and adds to that tax increment. That description is also in your staff report on page 9. All right. So, being along US 95, there's a number of services that are available, retail sites, there are places to eat, kitty corner, our Thai house is up here, Hoo Hot, there's a number of places that you can eat. You can actually, in small quantity at the Kootenai Clinic family area, there's a place to grab a sandwich and a drink, and so a lot of foot traffic, although not much ends up going across 95, but I know El Paisa has a great following from the people that work in the area, and we imagine that the bakery would as well. So the zoning of the area, as you can see here, most of the area is C17 on the west side of US 95, and then directly behind it is R12, so there's residential use, and that runs to the west. There's a little R17 to the south, C17 for pretty much most of that corridor, and then as you get to the other side, east side of US 95, is that commercial Ironwood Center. Land use pretty much similar. The hospital is civic. The I guess day use medical facility here is commercial because they don't stay overnight. I did notice that the old Walden House, which has been removed and turned into a parking lot, is still shown as civic here, so our map needs to be updated, but that just happened a couple months ago. To the south of that is when you start getting into the neighborhoods, and there's single-family detached duplexes as well as some multifamily. All right, so getting into the photos. So this is across the street to the north, so you're looking kind of southwest there. The circle here is the site, and this is showing the Kootenai day use. And then this is the site, the north end of the parking lot, and looking toward Kootenai Clinic. And then looking south along US 95 from Emma Street, showing that pedestrian way, sidewalks as well, controlled intersection. You can tell that the design of the parking lot itself has angled parking, so if people are following the design of the parking lot, they would enter in at West Davidson and then travel through the parking lot to the north, ultimately exiting onto Emma, which is a controlled intersection, which would help traffic get back onto 95 or across 95. Alternatively, they can go west on Emma and follow that to Northwest Boulevard. So this is the parking lot looking directly south at that 1717 Lincoln building, and then looking north, showing the pedestrian along the edge. So next is the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will or will not be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. And once again, I jumped ahead a little bit. I wanted to address Tom's question. So there's a total of 29 stalls on site. And between El Paisa, if this request for the bakery is approved, and the other uses on the parcel, they would need 25, leaving 4 additional. So that 4 would roughly, and the question becomes, generally, if there was another use that wanted to be similar on there, and there's 4 stalls, that equates at 1 per 200, and there's an extra 4 stalls, only about 800 square feet for the additional suites if there was to be an additional use that's similar. All right, so city staff from Streets and Engineering, Water, Fire, and Wastewater departments have reviewed the application request in regard to public utilities and public facilities, and staff has indicated that there's adequate public services and facilities available. I wanted to speak shortly. I think I dog-eared the page I want to get to, so give me a second. And the comment was from Chris Bosley, Streets and Engineering, about traffic, specifically using the land use code 939, that a bread, donut, bagel shop without a drive-through window, there is a category for that, surprisingly enough, from the ITE trip generation manual, proposes that they are expected to receive approximately 48 trips in the AM peak hour. And it is likely that the bakery will receive a significant number of walk-in customers with its proximity to the medical campus, and Emma Avenue has the capacity to accommodate the additional traffic. So that seemed to be the most pertinent comment from staff. The rest of them can be found on pages 17 and 18. So we'll move on to the site plan. So north is to the right. This is north. So this is Davidson, Emma, US 95. Suite 1 is the proposed bakery. There's handicap parking stall here, angled parking, so you would enter and then come out over here onto Emma. And then a floor plan. So this shows how they are planning to lay out the bakery if approved. And so you can see the seating out front here. If there's 15% or less of the floor area is dedicated to seating, it can be considered a to-go or off-site consumption, but there is more than that here, which is why we're here tonight for this request. And so Planning Commission, as a condition of approval, may establish reasonable requirements for conditions to mitigate any impacts that would adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood, be specific, and if you're going to add additional conditions, add them to your motion. There are no proposed conditions by staff. And with that, that'll wrap up my staff report and presentation. So the Planning Commission will need to consider this special use permit request and make appropriate findings to approve with conditions, deny, or deny without prejudice. Is there any questions?
Thanks, Sean. John, you got a question?
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate the report. So when I studied the packet at home, I got a little bit lost. I was thinking to myself, the Mexican restaurant must have had a special use permit somewhere along the line. Usually when we get a special use permit, we have a little section in the staff report that shows a history of other special use permits in the area. If you could picture Schreiber, for example, you got more special use permits in there than base zoning operating or whatnot. So I was thinking to myself, well, how did the Mexican restaurant come about? And I guess I'm hearing it's kind of hanging out there. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
So if we don't approve this, that place is in jeopardy too. This is more than just a bakery. It's a bakery and a Mexican restaurant.
By proxy, yes.
That said, where I was really looking for that history, my question was going to be, and I think it's really just the same valid question, is, okay, that seems to, this is fitting in next to an existing on-site food and beverage. So the question is, how goes it? Are you aware, or anyone else in the room, of any issues or problems, or it seems like that has functioned there pretty well. You mentioned people walk to it, I guess, and some pedestrian. So is there any issues with that in your mind? Are you aware of any complaint of parking or traffic or trouble? They're loud or noisy, or any of the negatives that might come from a more commercial establishment. Are you aware of any problem there?
I did not receive any large complaints. The only issue that I received a phone call with was a woman who is also located in this area. She's actually in the building and just wanted to understand how the parking worked. She said sometimes it does get busy. Sometimes people are jockeying for a position in there to get their stalls, which is, to me, a good sign because people want to be there. If it was empty, there wouldn't be any businesses. It would largely be vacant. So that was her concern. I'm not sure if she showed up tonight, because I didn't get to see her face. It was on the phone. But that was the only call I got. Everybody within 300 feet, so that would include the neighborhood behind, was also notified. I didn't receive any contact from the neighborhood. So I'd say no, there's not any large complaint.
Thank you. And last, I guess I just take it a step further. And since this is a special use permit and not a zone change, the function gets locked in tonight, correct? I mean, so they get the special use permit for a bakery, and, bakeries are pretty ho-hum, and they can't just decide the next day, we're going to turn it into a late night crazy bar or whatever, make a lot of noise or something like that. I mean, it's going to be a bakery, right?
That is, it would be open to food and beverage as a use, not just to a bakery. That is who is making the request tonight.
Gotcha.
But the use itself would be approved, which is
Right.
one of a laundry list. I know you can remember some other times that I've put up tiny little font, you can barely read it, of all the uses that are allowed in C-17. Well, C-17L is a much reduced list, but you can pick and choose from C-17 for a special use permit. So it does tie it just to that specific use.
Thank you.
Right, and this is tied into the whole site, not just these two units, correct?
Correct. It would
So
be
if someone
for the
does want to
parcel.
come into one of the other existing occupied spaces and want to turn it into another restaurant or something, I guess they would have to meet with the, if there's not enough parking. Because you say right now the parking is what they need, given that this is a donut shop, on-site type of business. So we need not additional parking, but the parking that's there is going to have to serve that whole center at some point in time.
Correct. So each specific use will have a number of stalls associated with that use.
Right.
Now, the city doesn't go in there and say, well, this spot is for you
Right.
and this spot is for you. It's first come, first serve, just
Yeah.
like it is on on-street parking.
Right.
If the owner decides to do that, the owner can do that.
Right.
But that wouldn't be up to the city.
Okay, all right. Go on, sorry.
Yes. No,
You're on this side of the table.
a couple of clarifications if I could. Kind of an aside. You have that over there now, is that a defensive mechanism for something we don't know about, having a little wall over there instead of out here in the front?
So it's to keep the tomatoes at bay, you know.
I thought that might be the case. Now, I read this and I was kind of confused. I think something John had mentioned too. If this is approved tonight, any of those spaces is allowed to have a special use for on-site consumption, is that correct? Even those that are not used today?
As long as they're able to meet the parking requirement.
Okay, that's
There's
next
4
thing.
additional stalls, so at the time, if somebody wanted to do that, they would approach the city and we would make that call based on the floor area.
So Sean, to zero in on that, I think I heard you say there's 800 square feet of additional space that would add up to those 4 additional parking spaces out of those 4 suites?
Yeah, so each suite there, so we're speaking kind of 2 different parking codes when it was
Okay.
approved to when it is today. And so I want to make sure you're clear on that. So the suites that are there now and the stalls that are there now apply, the math that we applied to it is 1 per 330.
Sure.
And so there's a number of stalls that are already associated with each one of those suites. So there's an additional 4 that are above and beyond the requirement, which would be 800 square feet.
So-
But that suite would already have a couple stalls associated with it.
Right. So to Commissioner Ward's point, there's really, out of those additional 4 remaining suites, one which belongs to a lady who called you, if someone else wants to become a food and beverage facility, it's a race for that last suite of 4 to become that last one. Is that correct?
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. A couple of things. This space is about 1,100 square feet,
Correct.
and therefore it's one space for every 330 square feet,
Well, it's 1 per 200 for food and beverage. It's 1
even
per
though it's
330 for
1,100 square
retail.
feet. Okay. One other thing in the report, I think you mentioned, Chris Bosley said they would anticipate a lot of pedestrian traffic. Can you, is that, and I didn't see that in the report. What is that based on? I mean, is it
Hospital.
what La Paisa has a history of, or?
It's on page 18.
Under traffic. And so, you know, and some of this is based upon hours of operation too. So El Paisa, generally lunch and dinner,
Right.
you know, bakeries are largely
Breakfast
morning
and
sort
lunch.
of breakfast, right? And I'm sure they'll offer something around the lunchtime, or maybe they'll close up a little bit early, but they do have some alternating hours generally, as far as
This one.
the popularity.
Go ahead.
I don't have any problem at all with the bakery here and on-site consumption. My only concern is the impact. You know, is there adequate parking, and now how is that addressed? Because it is angled parking. It isn't like you have double drive aisles and so on. But, you know,
So
I feel a little better at least knowing there is a significant expectation for residential walk-up customers.
yeah, that I would leave up to the owner to answer. One of the things that I talked to the gal that owns the eyeglass place is that, you know, the city has our standards, but we can't control is popularity. And so there's certain businesses that are going to drive a lot of traffic. People want to be there, you know, and other businesses not so popular. So we have our standard that applies to all of that type of use. And it's really up to the customers when they come and go.
Thank you.
Tom, I got a few.
You
That's
go ahead.
okay, yeah. So you'd mentioned, Chris, talked about a red bagel as a basis with a drive-through as part of that traffic flow. Is that the basis understanding for what he's expecting the impact on traffic to be for this new?
Yes, it's the ITE trip manual, so that categorizes all these different types of use, and it says you can expect this number of trips per
Thank
day, AM or PM.
This is currently commercial community zoned, CC,
It's C17L.
C17L right now.
limited
It's just asking for a special use into food and beverage.
Correct. So that's one specific use that's in C17 that C17L can ask for.
Okay, think that's my only really last question. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Okay. All right, thanks, Sean. Appreciate, go ahead.
I'm just curious if, in fact, the prime time does attract 48 new customers into that parking lot, and that time corresponds with a busy time at lunch for El Pareza. Isn't that a concern that, at least for those hours of overlap, there could be a parking issue that only now happens every now and then when El Pareza is busy? And how does that get mitigated? That's a lot of extra traffic.
Right. And so that mitigation process is not necessarily up to the city. What we look at is, this is the number of trips that it's expected to generate, in this case in the AM, because it's a donut, bagel, bread category for
Right.
the IT trip manual. So we're expecting those in the AM. Like I said, El Paisa is generally lunch, dinner, so we wouldn't expect those to cross, but traffic happens. Like I said, we can't control who goes where when, and so if they throw a special El Paisa has
Right.
dollar tacos that day, there's gonna be a lot of people there, so it is what it is.
Also, do we know of those 48 extra visitors during prime time? How many of those are just coming in to take out food out of the bakery, and how many are actually going to stay at the bakery? I'm assuming that majority of that is coming in, getting some donuts and bread or something and leaving, so not such pressure on parking, but I don't know.
It certainly could be. I mean, people may travel there by foot and, grab a bagel to bring back
Right.
for lunch, or they may grab something, a breakfast, something or other, and a coffee and head back to work, and there wouldn't be any car because they would be on foot. So it's tough to say.
Thank you. That's the only concern I see with this special permit.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
So when I look at this application for existing city zoning, it looks like they've marked the C17L. This picture you have of the blue and purple buildings within the city, I think it's on page 7 of the staff report. I don't know what it is on your slide. Trying to figure out what the blue and purple mean. I didn't see a legend on there.
It's from the comprehensive plan, so the retail center corridor, Sean?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That was the
Yeah,
one, I
that's the way the comp plan was put together. So rather than have two separate maps, we did the same thing with like the single family versus the multifamily kind of categories, where you have two colors on one map.
Right.
And so the purple is the retail center corridor. The other is I think it is, general industrial. Because it has Schreiber Way
Okay.
up there, which was envisioned to be that.
Yep, that's what I was kind of curious about, is just the office space and its role in, if it's a blue thing or a purple thing, but I think you answered what purple means and blue means on here, so thank you.
Correct, sure. Any additional questions?
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll have the applicant come up.
Sure.
Is there any specific slide you would like me to? Okay.
Curtis, I just need your name, city you live in, and I'll swear you in.
Sure. Curtis Thornton. I live in Post Falls, Idaho.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
All right. My name is Curtis Thornton. I'm the owner of MDI. It's a local contracting company here in North Idaho. I'm here representing the owner, and she regretfully couldn't make it today. One of her biggest clients is the Hayden Lake Country Club, and they've got 200 breakfast parfaits they're making for tomorrow morning. So she called me and said I cannot be there. Basically, I just want to go over what I have found at this building and just the ownership in general. What you have here is a business called The Flower Shop, and she is absolutely maxed at her current facility. She is literally busting at the seams. She's trying to find places to put more things. When we found this building, this office being vacant about 4 months ago, it kind of fit perfectly into what she envisioned as mostly just a bakery and then obviously a storefront to take out. Majority of her work is done before 2 p.m. And then everything that happens in the evening would just be her and a couple employees prepping for the next day. A lot of their goods actually leave the bakery and go to different coffee shops and whatever across town. So obviously we don't know how the popularity might actually impact the parking, but from talking to her and seeing what she's got going on right now, a lot of the business that happens in her bakery actually leaves the bakery first thing in the morning, like pre-6 o'clock in the morning. So as far as that goes, she's a great lady. Her and her husband, both Emily and Jody, are Coeur d'Alene natives, Coeur d'Alene High School grads, and really are connected in a huge part to everything in Coeur d'Alene. They service a ton of local businesses. Some of her bigger accounts are the Hayden Lake Country Club. She's really involved with the farmers markets up in Hayden, and also a lot of coffee shops here in Coeur d'Alene actually use her goods. So with that, you guys, I think it would be a perfect scenario. We spent quite a few hours down there laying out floor plans on the what if we get this all passed. And a lot of folks from the medical community from the building just north on 95 have come down and visited us, and a lot of them do walk down there, and they said, hey, we would love the fact to have a bakery here. I really got a lot of positive impact from everybody that was down there, and like I said, we spent multiple hours down there measuring, taping, making sure everything was going to fit inside the building. So with that, I ask you to approve of this.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Did you say most of the business is over at 2 p.m.? Is that?
Most of their
Go ahead.
Most of their inbound business is done by 2. They're busy prepping from about 2 o'clock on to get the next day's bakery goods out.
Okay, but
So-
it's still open. Do you know
Shop
the
hours.
hours?
Yeah, that's
Is
what I
it-
was
She has not actually given me set
No shop
hours yet.
hours.
Okay.
So she has mentioned to me, we've had multiple conversations about the morning rush. She expects to be busy from 6 a.m. pre-work hours to noon or 1. And she really expected everything to kind of fall off after that.
Okay. Well, I hope she's busy all the time.
That's what we hope.
But you're telling us she's a production, producer of products to go out as a distribution,
Correct.
prep,
Correct, yeah. So
assemble,
her kitchen in that
distribute.
Yeah, her
And
kitchen in
then
that location will leave.
Front of the house is for walk-ins or drive-in
Correct.
clientele that are either more leaning toward the hospital choices. We don't have a lot of bakeries down south of 90.
No,
I
we
mean, I
don't.
know we have a few up north, but you have to really travel to them. So that, it's an advantage. Certainly the hospital people love their bread goods. Will they be trying to do a sandwich kind of business too, or is it really just the bagels and donuts and?
Her specialty was going towards just bakery goods, bagels,
Okay.
donuts, different kinds of custom pastries.
Yeah, because you've got Caruso's, you've got those other
Yeah, they're right
places that
next
do
door.
exactly that kind of thing, so. And so the hours did concern me, because you're also in a residential area, and, you know, there will be overflow. If there's overflow parking, they're gonna end up on those residential streets, and that's something that is a reality. But otherwise, you know, it's a good goal. It's nice to have another bakery in town, so.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm good. Oh, that's it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's no one else signed up. Ma'am, do you want to speak on this? Right? Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for showing up, being part of our audience tonight. Okay, with that, I'm going to close our public comment and bring it to the commission for further discussion and a motion.
Just
Go ahead,
a
John.
little discussion. I'm not floating a motion necessarily, but just, you know, it's clear to me that what's at stake here is 2 businesses, not just one. And the one's been there a long time. I'm not worried. I can't imagine any complaints. I asked the question sort of rhetorically for the record to, I think, establish that, you know, it hasn't been a problematic business or something like that. But so the Mexican restaurant's been there a long, long time. I think it's been very compatible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the bakery is a good fit, as Commissioner Fleming says, for that area. I support it. Just you know, it's good business and makes good sense. But and a good
John.
fit.
Go ahead. Go.
Yeah. I had some real reservations about the parking situation, but it could happen in any one of the spaces. Get one in that's doing really well, instead of the 3 spaces, they have a great flow of pedestrian, vehicular traffic, whatever, and it does well. And reading through the staff report, I can't find a reason to say he doesn't meet the code. He does meet the comprehensive code. Impact might be a minor issue as far as the parking is concerned, but any business could, regardless of the use, could really create a traffic problem. And I think of recognizing the traffic limitations, the parking limitations, the marketplace will determine whether or not he can stay or go. But I don't have like I said, how did anyone complain about a bakery? I don't know.
Anybody want to try our findings on this?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
I have cold, so bear with me. I'm not spreading germs. It's the end of it, but anyway.
Move over a little bit.
I know. This matter came before the Planning and Zoning Commissioner on August 12th, 2025, to consider SP-1-25, request for approval of a special use permit for food and beverage on-site consumption in the C-17L zoning district. The applicant is Curtis Thornton. The owner is Sam Investments LLC. The location is 1801 Lincoln Way, south of West Emma Avenue and north of West Davidson Avenue. Findings of fact: the Planning and Zoning Commission finds that the following facts, A1 through A9, have been established on a more probable than not basis, as shown on the record before it and on testimony presented at the public hearing. A1, that we have met the postings, the publications, the notification to neighbors and local entities throughout the district. Public testimony was received at our public hearing of August 12th, and the subject property is occupied with frontages located on the west side of US 95 Lincoln Way, south of West Emma Avenue, and north of West Davidson Avenue. The subject site is on 0.58 acres. The property is surrounded by residential, commercial, and civic uses, and the subject site is currently zoned commercial limited at 17 units per acre. A5, the applicant is proposing a food and beverage on-site consumption use bakery, and I'm going to put in the little addendum that is also a distribution center. I don't think that's problematic, but it's reality. They are producing for outside sources. So I think that should be recognized on this, that sort of takes a little bit of weight off the use of the restaurant space. That they're not only just producing for immediate consumption, they're sending it out into our local areas. A6, the comprehensive plan future use land use map designation is retail center, corridor place type. The comprehensive plan states that compatible zoning for the retail center corridor place type includes C17 and C17L. That A7, the comp plan includes transportation maps showing existing and planned bicycle networks. This is not a bicycle-friendly street, gotta tell you. Existing and planned walking networks, existing transit networks. The subject property is in an area with existing sidewalks and is close to city-linked transit routes A and C. A8, the staff report includes applicable comp plan goals and objectives. The Commission will determine the more applicable goals and objectives to support this decision. I would note that goal C11, Coeur d'Alene citizens are well-informed, responsive, and involved in community discussions. This has been posted, and we didn't see much opposition, so I think everyone was fine with it. Goal C-2, maintain a high quality of life for residents and businesses. That adding another bakery and fresh, healthy goods is never a bad thing. Growth and development, goal GD-1, develop a mix of land uses throughout the city that balance housing and employment. And this is walkable, so we will see hospital users and people going in and out, dropping in and utilizing this business. We're also promoting mixed-use development and small-scale commercial uses. And then G1.6, revitalize existing And this was a vacant business, so we appreciate that it is now going to be used in an already built and existing structure. Thank you. Goal JE1, the objective is to actively engage the community partners in economic development efforts and foster a pro-business culture, and this does just that. A9, city departments have indicated no issues at all with this site or the use thereof. Chris Bosley from our transportation department states that he envisions 48 trips in morning peak times. In conclusion, based on the foregoing findings of fact, the Planning and Zoning Commission makes the following conclusions of law. B1, the proposal is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. B2, the design and planning of the site is compatible with location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. And B3, the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will adequately be served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. In conclusion, the Planning and Zoning Commission, pursuant to the foregoing findings of fact and conclusion of law, have determined that the proposed special use permit request for the food and beverage on-site consumption in the C17L zoning district does comply with the required evaluation criteria, and the special use permit request should be approved as is. No proposed conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleming. I have a first by Commissioner Fleming,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ingalls. Any further discussion? Any opposed? Roll call, please.
Messina,
Yes.
Coppice,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Jamtas,
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved. Congratulations. Best of luck. I have a motion to adjourn. If no more discussion. Go
I
ahead.
do have just a question, based on El Paisa, no one knowing that it was in this facility and should have been C17L. Is there some kind of review process, Sean, that prevents this or lends pause to screen and make sure there's not more El Paisas out there in the same condition?
That's a tough nut to crack, and the reason why is we don't have a lot of business license requirements for the city unless you're dealing with very specific points of contact, such as massage, taxi, if dealing with small children, that sort of thing. So largely we're complaint-based. And as John said earlier, is there any complaints? Well, we didn't receive any complaints, and it was a Chopsticks before.
Right.
We don't know what the gap was between Chopsticks and El Paisa, if that special use permit expired between that time. But it seems that they just took over the space because it was set up for a restaurant anyway. They just didn't realize the limitation on floor area for seating. Does that help?
So if something's out of compliance in restaurant terms, so to speak, we find out through complaints, or it's just not working out well for traffic flow?
Yeah, I really can't speak to the traffic flow. That's a Chris comment. He'd be happy to answer that for you, but I'm not that expert.
Okay.
If I may too, so when someone applies for a building permit or a tenant improvement change, that's also when we see that there's a change of use, and then that would require review, and we would say, oh, you need a special use permit. So that's
Thanks.
more typical, but there might be some other non-compliant ones out there.
I think in this case, the kitchen existed, and so they moved in.
Sure,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an easy one.
Good job. Good job.
Wait, you missed Coeur.